How's it going, everybody? I'm Ryan from Hellcat Design, and today we're going to be going over shape keys and how to do two different types of shape keys so that you guys can have a basic comprehension of how it works and what you'd be able to use it for and so on and so forth. So let's jump right in and get started. First, what we're going to do is I'm going to, since I'm not going to be doing any rendering or anything like that right now, I'm just going to hit double click A and grab everything and then hit delete. Make sure everything is deleted. And then I'm going to hit Shift A, and then I'm going to add in a UV sphere. And I'm going to turn up the vertices from 32 to 64 and 16 to 32. I'm just going to be doubling the vertices to give it a little more area to work with here. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to add in a mesh. And we're going to be adding in a, actually before we do any of that, I'm going to actually grab the circle and hit H on it so we hide that circle, so the next thing we do is fine. Then I'm going to hit Shift A, mesh, and we're going to bring in that monkey. Then I'm going to scale that monkey up, and then hit GZ, grab it down a little bit just so it's a little more centered on the face there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my modifier panel, and I'm with the Suzanne selected there, and hit subdivision surface. And I'm going to turn that up to 3 on both the viewport and the render. And then I'm going to hit apply, and that's just going to apply everything so that we have a bunch more vertices to work with here. Okay, after that, what we can do is we can go to add modifier again, and then this time we're going to use a shrink wrap. And then the object we're going to be shrink wrapping to is that sphere that we hid just a minute ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the target section here and click on that sphere. That is going to take all the Suzanne's vertices there and shrink wrap it around the sphere we just created like that, okay? And this is going to be pretty much what you're going to get if you do that. All right, after that, you can actually, if you're having some issues, you can even play with the offset here, and that'll help sometimes with some extra vertices that you might have, or you can come over to the vertex group and weight paint different sections where you want them to be. You can do it that way too. You can also change the different modes that is going to project from. So the original project, you can work with this one, nearest vertice to its position where it's at, or nearest surface point. That's usually my favorite one just because it creates a smoother surface. So after that, what we're going to do is we're just going to, actually we're going to hit Shift D real quick, okay, with that Suzanne selected, and then I'm going to hit X on that, and then I'm going to grab this Suzanne and hit GX and move it over here, okay, because I don't want that modifier on this Suzanne right here, and this is just going to be what our end shape is going to be. So, and then I have my sphere here, which is the other Suzanne, okay. Now what I'm going to want to do is apply that shrink wrap. So if we go into edit mode, we can see that all of those vertices that we created in this Suzanne right here are all shrunk wrapped down to where that sphere was. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the object I always hate this. It's object data properties, and then under shape keys here underneath vertex groups, we're going to actually come down to the little triangle here or pointer, click on that. Oh, and before we do that, we have to click on Suzanne here and then hold Shift and click on the circular one we created. And then we're going to come down to the little arrow here and go down to Join as Shapes. That is going to join the two as shapes and automatically set both the base and the first Suzanne set key. Okay, so if we click on this Suzanne set key and turn this value up, it'll turn it into Suzanne again. So what I'm going to do is, since we don't need this Suzanne anymore, I'm going to hit X and delete that. And since we don't need the sphere up here, I'm going to grab that and then hit the I, make sure that's grabbed, then hit X, and we're going to delete that one because we don't need that one anymore. The only thing we need is the original Suzanne that we turned into that. With just that selected, we can come back into our data properties panel and then turn this value up and down, and you can actually see it goes from the sphere here to Suzanne. So this is the end. Basically, this is all you really need to know for now. I'm going to show you how to animate it here in a minute, but I'm going to show you the other way to do it real quick. So I'm actually going to take that one, or this Suzanne that's currently there, I'm going to hit H and hide that one. Okay, actually, before I hide it, I'm going to hit Control H and or go hit the I up here and bring that back. I'm going to grab that Suzanne and hit GX and then move it over there just to have it out of the way for the time being. And then I'm going to hit H just so when we bring it back in, it'll be off to the side. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift A, and then I'm going to add in another UV sphere. And it should have the same set of vertices that we added in from last time, the 64 and 32. We're just going to leave it like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that this sphere is just created, I'm going to come over to where my shape keys is again. And this time I'm going to hit plus, plus. I'm going to hit it twice because that's going to create the base, which is going to be the circle here. So whenever you have your base done of whatever shape object you want, you're going to want to click plus here, and then plus again to create the shape key that you're going to want to change the vertices to. Okay, so now that that was selected, and we have this key 1 selected over here in the shape keys, if we go into edit mode, I can grab all the center ones here, and I'm going to hit O to go in proportional editing, or you can click up here. And then I'm going to hit S and then use my mouse wheel to scale it down and make it look like kind of like a peanut there. All right, and then I'm going to go out of edit mode by hitting tab again, and you're going to see that we have our sphere again. Okay, with our sphere selected, now if we're in our key 1, we can actually come over to our value here and turn that up, and you'll notice as we turn the value up, it'll go to that point that we just created. Now, if you want to create another key point, now if you want to create it based off of the keyframe that you just made at this value, you can do that by hitting plus while this one is selected. But if you still want it to be off of the base that you selected this form, you can hit plus while the basis is selected. Okay, and with key 2 selected, you can actually go into edit mode, and you'll notice that you have those vertices selected, but it's still a sphere. So what we can do from here is I'm actually going to select the top vertices here by holding Alt and selecting those, and then come around to the other side and holding Alt and Shift and grabbing the other side. And I'm going to hit S again with still in proportional editing. I'm going to scale that down to like another peanut, okay, like that. Okay, I'm actually going to scale it down a little more, probably like that, okay? And if you come out of edit mode again by hitting tab, you'll notice that it goes back to there. And if we use that value, now it'll go like that. So if I add in this value and then I click on the keyframe here and add in that value, we have what happens to the shape itself. Both keyframes interact with one another, and that's what we get. So we can use that to create different shapes, and then we can go into the edit mode, and after we create our keyframes or go into the graph editor and create repeats and put in a noise. You can add in a ton of different stuff. I'm not going to show you how to do that today. I'm just going to be showing you basically how to do basic keyframes in this using this. So let's get started doing that. I'm actually going to bring in my Suzanne again. Okay. And with my Suzanne selected and my sphere selected here, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to drag up this bar to bring up my timeline. Sorry. Let's drag that bar up here. Sorry, I'm having an issue. There we go. I'm going to drag that up, and then what I'm going to do is with this one selected, the first one, I'm going to come over to the first keyframe, and then I'm going to go to the value here, and I'm going to hit this little dot right here, and that is going to insert a keyframe, and that's going to say this is at 0 until told to change. But at this point, at 1 frame, it is at 0. And then I'm going to go over to frame 20, and I'm going to change that value all the way to 1. And if you notice this is not highlighted, that's because there's no set keyframe. So if you change this, it'll go back to the keyframe that it's set at. So we're going to go up to 20 there. Sorry, I'm in the way, but up to frame 20 there. And then I'm going to go to the value and bring that all the way up to 1. And I'm going to hit that diamond, and that'll set the keyframe for that. I'm going to go over to 40, okay? And then I'm going to set that back down to 0. And then I'm going to hit I. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is grab this second keyframe here by clicking on it. And then I'm going to go over to 10 here. And I'm going to hit I on the value for right there for 0. and then I'm going to come over to 30 and go to 1, and then click on that or hit I, and then I'm going to go over to 50 and go back down to 0 and click the diamond again, and that is just going to set the keyframes to do that second motion that we hit, the second keyframe that we did. Okay, so we create a fluid motion there like that. Okay, after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually select on the Suzanne that we made over here, and I'm going to go all the way to, or back down to 0, and we only have one keyframe for this Suzanne, so I'm actually just going to hit I on this, or click on there to create a keyframe at 0, and then we ended at frame 50 on this, so we're going to go to frame 50. Actually, let's go to 25, and then go to 1, and then hit that little button there, and then we can go to 50, bring it back down to 0, and then click that there, and then we just inserted the keyframe to make it big and then small again. That's all we were doing there, so let me bring around my view so you can see what's going on. And that's it. That's literally the animation we just created. So I'm going to turn down the animation, the end, to, let's say, 55. Okay, and then I'm going to hit play. Okay, so now that you see the both animations that we just created come back, now I'm going to actually bring the end down to 50 where we ended, so you can see it look continuous. And that's basically all it is. That's as simple as it is. It's creating the keyframes based off of whichever one you want to start at, and shrink wrapping an object so that you can have the same amount of vertices and then expand it to an object that you want. Okay, and that's really simple. Those are two different ways. Those are two basic ways how to do keyframes. If you liked the video, like, share, comment. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll definitely try to answer. There, you can also mess around with the values all that you want with the range and the vertex groups and stuff like that. And there's, like I said, you can. I'll do a more in-depth video a little later on about how to do like vertex painting for shape keys and stuff like that. But for now, this is just basically the simple way to do it. So, like I said, if you like, subscribe, share, and thanks for watching. Catch you later.